We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Today,
Prime Minister Modi says that India will pursue terrorists till the end of earth. India-Pakistan tensions escalate after the Pahalgam terror strike. India and Pakistan have revoked ties and halted pacts in tit-for-tat move. Trump and Zelensky clash as US warns of abandoning the peace talks of the Russia-Ukraine war. Donald Trump accuses Zelensky of sabotaging America's peace plan in the over 3-year-long Russia-Ukraine war. The Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwandan-backed M23 rebels have agreed to halt fighting until peace talks mediated by Qatar reach their conclusion. It is the latest truce deal since the rebels stepped up its offensive, where authorities say 7,000 people have been killed since January. AI images of child sex abuse significantly more realistic. The latest report indicates that AI-generated illegal content is up 380% in the last 1 year. Now, 2 days since the horrific Pahalgam terror attack killed 25 Indians and 1 Nepalese citizen, India continues to respond strongly, with New Delhi now revoking all visas of Pakistani nationals and ordering them to leave India in the next 72 hours. One of India's harshest responses to terror attacks that have taken place this time around. The attacks, of course, took place 48 hours back. Prime Minister Modi also said that the terrorists who carried out the Pahalgam attack and those who plotted it would get a punishment they cannot even imagine. And India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. In fact, Prime Minister Modi said that India will pursue them to the ends of earth. Pakistan hit back, halting all trade with India, revoking all visas to Indian nationals and expelling Indian diplomats after India did so 24 hours back.
friends, today from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism.
All right, let's get in. Vishal Vivek joining me live from South Block, where just a short while back, 2 important meetings took place. One, of course, the External Affairs Ministry did apprise key diplomats of other countries in terms of the latest developments that are unfolding. And since then, of course, Pakistan has also undertaken steps in retaliation. Vishal, talk to us about what your sources are telling you inside the External Affairs Ministry.
So we're coming to you live from outside the Ministry of External Affairs, and the briefing of foreign envoys just concluded, and you can see in the distance just now about 10 to 20 envoys had just come out, and they seem to have just gone away, but the meeting seemed to have just concluded. The meeting of G20 envoys concluded about an hour ago. That lasted for about 30 minutes. And the Foreign Ministry's Secretary Vikram Misri briefed all the leaders of G20 countries as to what is the latest situation, what's happening on the ground in the last 48 hours, whatever India has been able to accomplish as far as hunting down the 3 terrorists who were involved in the dastardly attacks is concerned. So they were briefed on various matters, and they were seen coming out, and some of them had files in their hands, and that could have had some briefing as to what the Indian government just told them. The ministries across the world, the governments across the world have been standing in line, supporting India and talking that Pakistan needs to be condemned for these attacks. And we also spoke exclusively with a few ambassadors about an hour ago, especially with the Israeli envoy to India, Reuven Azar, who said that Israel will be extending its support on all fronts to India, and there will be cooperation on all levels,
Absolutely.
be it personal, be it
Vishal,
technological
I'm
advancement. So
going to
all of
play
that.
out that conversation in just a short while from now. But I want to quickly get in a word from Nazir as well, who is in Srinagar, to understand what's the latest right now on ground, 48 hours since that horrific terror attack took place. Nazir, take us through what's the latest on ground.
Well, there's a collective resolve which has been shown by the political leadership and the society to condemn this attack, massacre of innocent people, tourists, and who are guests in Kashmir, and demanding an end to this senseless violence which has engulfed Kashmir for the last 35 years. Over the last 2 days, we have seen something very unprecedented in the valley. For the first time, there was a complete shutdown across Jammu and Kashmir against militancy and militants. For the first time, there was spontaneous protests against acts of terror and acts by militant groups in Jammu and Kashmir at such a large scale. Chief Minister Umar Abdullah called an all-party meeting in Srinagar today, where they observed 2 minute silence in memory of those who were killed in the senseless violence massacre. They all were on the same page, expressing their strong condemnation for this act and demanding end to terrorism and violence in Jammu and Kashmir. At the same time, the participants of the meeting expressed their concern over harassment of Kashmiri students and traders and other people who are in some parts of the country. So they have urged the government of India and the state governments in several parts of the country to ensure safety, dignity, and well-being of the people of Kashmir and the students of Kashmir for their, as people of Kashmir have shown their resolve against terrorism against all those who have killed these innocent people in this terror attack. In
Okay.
fact, Jammu and Kashmir government cabinet has also advised JNK's Lieutenant Governor to call a special session of the assembly where a resolution will be passed against this Pak-sponsored terrorism. So there's at multiple levels. There is,
Yes.
there's a public movement against militancy. At the same time, security forces have launched an Operation Pahalgam to track down the attackers, but so far they are
Right.
not close at any way to track them down.
All right, Nazir, thank you so much for giving us that update from Srinagar. And Vishal, if I may come to you in terms of the response that Pakistan has come out with. Just a short while back, going into this show, we heard updates coming in that Pakistan has now decided or is contemplating to now put the Simla Pact in abeyance. Talk to us about what's the word coming in from the MEA on something like this.
Well, that remains to be seen. There will definitely be some briefing on that, but we are yet to hear something on that. But you're right, there have been a lot of rumblings from the Pakistani side as well. They have just told the Indian government that the Indian planes flying over Pakistan, all the airlines from India have been banned. That won't be possible anymore. And as you mentioned, the Simla agreement has also been annulled. That was a historical moment in the history of India and Pakistan when the agreement was signed. So two huge agreements have been annulled in the last 24 hours. Two huge agreements that shaped the politics, the region, the demography of both the countries. These are some historical moments unfolding in front of us in the wake of the dastardly terror attack that killed at least 26 people, all of them innocent, all of them had nothing to do with the conflict in the region. They were gunned down mercilessly, and the escalation seems to be happening as we speak. Each and every moment there have been tit-for-tat actions. As you mentioned, the Pakistani airspace has been closed for Indian planes. There have been some agreements that were annulled. What future holds, that remains to be seen, but there have been other things also happening, such as visas of citizens in both the countries have been cancelled. Indian citizens in Pakistan need to leave the Pakistan in the next 48 hours. The same goes for Pakistani citizens in India. So this tit-for-tat has been going on, but we all know the truth, the perpetrator of this conflict and where all of this has been emanating from. So the answer, what India answers, that will have to be seen, that the...
Absolutely, Vishal. Let's leave it there, and I'm going to now play out that exclusive conversation that Vishal had when he spoke with the Israeli envoy, Ruvi Nazar, a short while back. Listen in.
The recent terror attacks in Pahalgam has shocked the world, to say the least. India has been extended a helping hand from a lot of nations. Israel is one of them. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already extended a helping hand. We have with us today a special guest, Israel's ambassador to India, Mr. Reuven Azar. Thanks a lot for speaking to us. So to start with, sir, how are India and Israel collaborating on this major, global terrorism issue that happened just a few hours ago in India?
Well, Vishal, first of all, allow me to send my condolences to the families of the murdered and wish swift recovery to those wounded. This has been a terrible, terrible attack. It's shocking. People have the right to go on vacation. It's completely unacceptable that people will be attacked while they are on vacation, or while they are celebrating their honeymoon, or they are going to a music festival. We cannot accept that. We have to fight that, and I'm happy that the government of India is so resolute and determined to fight it in all the ways possible, both militarily, politically, foreign policy-wise.
And sir, a lot of reports suggest that there were some Hamas people who visited Pakistan in the recent past, in the last 1 month or two. And there was a lot of parallels being drawn between how Hamas executed those October 7 attacks and how these attacks happened. So what does Israel have to say about that? Have you reported on it? Are you taking some action about it?
Yes, of course, we have reported on it. It was also publicly, it was publicly published in different outlets. It's very clear that these terrorists are trying to copycat from each other, are trying to sophisticate the ways in which they terrorize people, in which they breach the basic rules of humanity. And the fact that these so-called leaders of Hamas have been accepted in any country, have been received in any country, let alone celebrated. This is a phenomenon that has to be condemned.
All right, on that note, I'm going to slip into a break. Up next, we will talk, will diplomacy now lead to a possible military action against Pakistan? And what all are the options on table for New Delhi? We come back and decode. Stay with us.
We know that living with diabetes can make daily life a challenge, and we're here to help.
I felt very low with the diagnosis and very lonely as well, and embarrassed.
I think people don't necessarily realise the impact that being diabetic can have on you, and the amount of extra decisions you have to make a day through carb counting every single thing you eat.
Day-to-day living with diabetes is really difficult. So Diabetes UK has made my life easier every day.
If you're struggling with the everyday challenges diabetes can bring, maybe it's time to become a Diabetes UK member. Call 0800 035 7601 or go online to become a member. And for just £3 a month, you'll get a welcome pack and a practical guide tailored to your type of diabetes, and a copy of Balance magazine 4 times a year.
Balance magazine has been very good in giving me tips to manage my diabetes on a day-to-day basis.
Plus regular email updates with the latest diabetes news and special discounts.
One of the things I was recommended to do was exercise. What motivated me was my love of dance, and I got that back.
Join a community that really understands. Call 0800 035 7601 or go online to become a member for just £3 a month.
I would recommend Diabetes UK to anyone with diabetes. Join up, become part of a community, get that support that you need.
I'm a simple man. Family, friends and a bit of footy.
The usual, Jules, thanks.
Now I'm in my 50s, things are getting a little more complicated. Look, no one's getting any younger. Retirement's peeking around the corner, and with the mortgage nearly done, I wanted to make sure my family was really looked after, if anything happened to me. That's why I decided to learn more about over 50s life insurance from Cover Today. They're the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period. Unlike other insurers who could make you wait up to 2 years, with Cover Today, you're fully covered from day one. And you're covered for the whole of your life. Plus, unlike other things in life, the price never goes up. Learning more couldn't be simpler.
Go online or talk to their friendly UK team and they'll chat you through your options in just one phone call.
And their claims process is really straightforward, so your loved ones will be looked after.
Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period. Everyone else makes you wait up to 2 years. Get covered in minutes with no annoying trips to the doctor with fixed monthly payments. Prices start at just £4.42 a month. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Cover Today has given me genuine peace of mind. And now I can get on with something much more interesting.
To find out more about Cover Today, call our friendly UK team on 0800 470 4493 or visit covertoday.co.uk.
It's been 48 hours since the horrific Pahalgam terror attack took place, and India has already set into motion a series of actions against Pakistan. But what happens next? Diplomatic actions have been taken, but the questions I'm posing now, the big questions on India Global, as to what will be the next steps. First up, is diplomacy now going to lead to some sort of a military action against Pakistan? Remember, there's been an unprecedented clamor simply because it's the first time in almost over 2 decades that tourists have been attacked by terrorists. Second question, as far as the all-party meeting is concerned, what can be expected? Remember, there have been voices of very disappointing voices that have come in, questioning the motive as well. Can India come united against terrorism? And what will be that response that will unite them? Next question, how will the Indus Treaty pause dry up Pakistan? 80% of Pakistan's farmlands are served by the Indus water, but that won't change overnight. When will it change and what will be the impact? We decode that. And lastly, will the world now isolate Pakistan, which is a pariah state? Remember, this isn't India of 2000. This is a changed India. And what all can it accomplish is another key thread that I will now ask on the panel. Joining me is Michael Kugelman, South Asia expert, and General Dwivedi to talk more about what can be India's next steps going forward. In fact, General Dwivedi, let me start by asking you, sir. So far, diplomatic steps, very strong, very harsh diplomatic steps have been taken by India in the last 48 hours. What do you now expect as the next course of action, given the fact that Prime Minister Modi said in no uncertain terms today that those perpetrators will be hunted till the last end of earth?
Well, Gaurie, firstly, thank you for having me on your show. Well, let me start with a very known statement that defense and diplomacy are two sides of the same coin, and therefore these actions are interlinked. I think today, right now, we are in the phase of diplomatic war, and India has taken certain diplomatic action, and particularly the Indus Water Treaty is one of the, I think, very stern action, because Indus is the lifeline of Pakistan, and it has 80% share of the water. When we are able to implement this in practicality, it's going to hit Pakistan hugely, and there is a, I think, 23% of Pakistan GDP comes from agriculture. I think that will be a huge impact. And of course, along with side, there's scaling down of the diplomatic mission, their visa, and also the closing of the integrated, check post at the Atari border. Now, coming to you on the specific as to what the military action will be. You see, There are a number of options, multiple options. But let's first take the statement of our Prime Minister, wherein he has stated very categorically that response will be overwhelming. So taking that as a cue, the possible action would be primarily to degrade the capacity of the Pakistan army to perpetrate the terrorism across the border and also to take out the infrastructure of the terrorists. So if we
Okay.
see these two as the major aims, I think action will be on the line of control.
Okay.
Action will be right inside Pakistan on the infrastructure. And my
Okay.
last point is, as Pakistan has the LOC held in abeyance, this gives us greater freedom to actually go across the LOC.
Let me ask this to Michael Kugelman as well, which is that some very important diplomatic steps have been taken. But do you concur with what General Dwivedi said, which is that dismantling those terror networks is essentially the ultimate goal of New Delhi?
Well, thank you for having me. And that is what it sounds like. Indeed, not surprisingly, we saw fairly quickly a series of very strong diplomatic measures taken by India, and then with reciprocation from Pakistan today. This is not surprising. One would expect these types of moves to be made initially. But indeed now, the question is what could happen beyond that. And I wouldn't want to speculate as to what India might do next, but I suspect that in the coming days there's going to be a lot of discussions about a range of possible options. But indeed, I would assume that the ultimate goal is to target those behind these attacks, that the focus would be on figuring out how best and most effectively to degrade those behind these attacks. And I suspect that will take some time, and we know that the temperatures are very high, emotions are very high, understandably, but I suspect that this is not something that New Delhi would want to rush. This is a very delicate, sensitive moment.
Absolutely.
And if it is going to take kinetic actions, it would want to make sure that it gets it right, so to speak, and succeeds, and that could take some time in terms of examining the best ways to go about it.
Absolutely, which brings me to also ask you about, Michael, the impact of of India's decision to put the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. How significant is it, and how much do you think it will impact Pakistan?
Well, it's very significant because it's never happened before. There have been times when New Delhi has signaled a desire to consider doing so, particularly in 2016, somewhat in 2019, but did not follow through. I think that the main impact initially will be psychological for Pakistan, in the sense that it is indeed the lower riparian country, and so its vulnerability here is very high. But I don't think that there would be, and I think you alluded to this before, there wouldn't be any immediate impact for Pakistan in terms of water security, just because it's not like you just, flick a switch and then water is not flowing into Pakistan. India would need to take measures in terms of building dams or other things, and this is something that could take time. And given geological realities, India would need to be very careful about how it goes about that, because if it doesn't do it right, it could end up flooding parts of its own territory.
Absolutely.
But I think that what India could do is, be in a position, if it's going to suspend this for quite some time, it would be in a position to being able to store more water, because that's where there's limits in the Indus Treaty, and that in time could certainly impact the flow of water down into Pakistan. But
absolutely.
This is not instantaneous.
No, it isn't instantaneous. It will take its time. General Dwivedi, let me ask you about the other fact, which is that coming into this broadcast, there was an update that came in that Pakistan has also made an announcement, which is regarding the Simla Pact, that they want to now stop that, put that in abeyance. They said that as some of the other options that they are evaluating. Explain to our viewers, what does that really mean?
Well, Gaurie, in fact, I had the privilege of fighting 1971 war, so I look at this treaty very closely. I think this treaty was a shortchanged. India was shortchanged. It was more favorable to Pakistan because they were able to get 93,000 of the PWs. We also have to return the captured territory. And one of the key component of this agreement was that line of control, because initially it was known as ceasefire line. Now that will be given greater, I would say, sanctity and legality, that it will be now known as line of control. Line of control means it was almost like a de facto border, and its sanctity had to be maintained. And one of the clause was that both sides will not try to alter the status of this slide, and it will be done through a dialogue or through mutual consultation. But Pakistan has not honored this agreement. They have violated this agreement repeatedly. Case in point, 1999, they came in a big way and they tried to alter the status or line of control. And thereafter, this proxy war that is going on, they are violating the LOC repeatedly, because after all, the cross-border terrorism implies violation of the LOC. So therefore, I don't think this agreement has any kind of meaning. They did this act just as a, I think, knee-jerk reaction to our action of holding in abeyance the Indus Water Treaty. But this is just a knee-jerk reaction. It does not actually impact our operations or our status.
Absolutely. All right, let's leave it there. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Michael Kugelman and General Dwivedi for joining me on this edition of India Global. Well, bottom line, viewers, is that this is not the India of early 2000s, when innocent civilians were killed and nothing was done. Neither is it the India of 2008, when the horrific 26/11 attacks took place and the response was nothing more than dossiers that were handed over. The India of today is a geopolitical and economic heavyweight, and with global leaders and global powers that have come out in full support of India, condemning the violence. Make no mistake, New Delhi will respond in a calibrated manner for three very clear reasons: to ensure that these terror factories, not just a handful of terrorists, but those factories are dismantled; to ensure that Pakistan is never able to conduct any such misadventure; and to tell the world that India, as I said, is not what it was quarter of a century back. With that, we're slipping into a very short break. We come back on the other side, talk more about Trump and Zelensky and why they're clashing over Crimea.
At Direct Line, we know that for multi-property landlords, sometimes the tiniest of things can turn into way bigger problems. From niggly contract issues to keeping up with ever-changing legislation. That's why Direct Line's landlord insurance offers a 24/7 legal helpline as standard. Because a call with someone could help to make the hairiest of problems feel that little bit smoother. Search Direct Line Landlord Insurance. We're on it.
PlusNet's sweet deal on full fibre is full of value. Treat yourself to fast and reliable broadband from only $24.99 a month. And with no activation fees, yes please, with speeds up to 900 megabits, faster than a sugar rush. And ooh, a reward card, that's a plus. Call us now or visit plus.net for our best price. Ends 7th of May. Oh, go on then.
It feels good knowing that your future's in hand. Evlo can offer you a loan from £1,000 to £15,000. Get your conditional decision in minutes.
What they don't tell you about getting older is how much fun it can be. Enjoying all the things you've worked so hard for. Spending time with the people that really matter. Not to mention, finally finding that precious time for yourself. I don't want anything taking my best years away from me, but like so many people, I've seen the heartbreak that dementia can cause. That's why I'm asking everyone to order this essential free guide from Alzheimer's Research UK. It's called Your Brain Matters. We all know what's good for our heart and our lungs, but do you know how to keep your brain healthy too? Well, this guide tells you how, in 7 steps you can start taking right now, whatever your age. Just ring the number on screen to get your free copy. Inside, you'll find facts and tips that can keep your brain healthy and help reduce your risk of developing dementia. It's advice you can really trust from leading dementia scientists. Read it, keep it, and check back whenever you need to. Order your free copy now. Call Alzheimer's Research UK on 0800 035 5984 or text BRAIN2 to 78866. Think of it as another way of planning for your best years, because your brain really matters.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket, Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me.
US President Donald Trump declared that Volodymyr Zelensky has no cards to play in a stinging rebuke after the Ukrainian president rejected his framework for peace. Trump slammed Zelensky on Wednesday for his comments that Ukraine wouldn't recognize Russian control of Crimea, calling the remarks very harmful to the peace negotiations with Russia. As negotiators met for the latest round of talks in London, reports suggest the US proposal that was laid out had two key points in agreement with Moscow's stand. The first being Kyiv officially recognizing Crimea as Russian territory, and the second that Ukraine can never become a NATO member. Both seemed deal breakers when it came on the Ukrainian side. Listen in to what Donald Trump had to say. We move on and then discuss, are peace talks all but dead now?
I think Russia is ready, and a lot of people said Russia wanted to go for the whole thing. And I think we have a deal with Russia. We have to get a deal with Zelensky, and I hope that Zelensky, I thought it might be easier to deal with Zelensky. So far it's been harder, but that's okay.
All right, as always, the big questions on India Global. First up, will Donald Trump now walk away from these stalled Ukraine peace talks? Next, Zelensky's Crimea demand, is that really now becoming a deal breaker or a sticking point in these talks, the reason why they may actually fail? Next up, what's really stalling these talks? Remember, they've been on again, off again for almost over a month now with fresh reasons for delay. What's really stalling? What's the real reason? And lastly, what really happened as far as the rare earth deal is concerned? Remember, that was really supposed to be the big deal clincher about a month ago. A lot has changed since then, and we discuss just that. Alexander joining me to talk more on this, along with Mr. Joseph, to understand the impact of the latest that has unfolded. You are the former advisor to the Minister of Defense of Ukraine. Explain to us the significance of what just unfolded latest as far as the peace talks are concerned, because what the US side is saying is that some of the demands of Ukrainian president are essentially deal breakers.
Well, let's imagine that the United States proposed India to cede Kashmir and some other territories that China claims as theirs, with the aim to have a peace.
It's not the same, sir, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's not the same. It's a bilateral conflict. We don't entertain any third party. So there is no way you can draw a comparison, but go ahead, make your point.
Yes, it's the same thing because
make your point, sir. As I said, it's not the same.
According to international law, it's your territory. And there is a third party that is trying to get this from your country to the other country. If we're talking about Crimea, it was illegally annexed in 2014, and the international community did not recognize the illegal annexation of Crimea. And this should be as a policy, not just for Ukraine, not just for Europe, but the whole world. Otherwise, the Pandora box would be open. The second thing, I could not call this peace negotiations or peace proposal if Russia gets it all. Our territory, our neutral status, and many, many other things. In return, Ukraine gets nothing, neither security guarantees from the United States or membership in NATO or other things. So I don't think that we are breaking a peace talks, but the Russians are not ready to have any concessions with regard to Ukraine.
Fair enough. I take all your points, but in the benefit of my viewers, I must put two things straight. One, I already clarified that comparisons with Kashmir are absolutely baseless, simply because the whole of Kashmir is India's territory. We do not entertain any third party. You do. You do entertain, and you want a third party to solve the problem. We are not going to allow that. So there is no comparison. Secondly, which brings me to ask you another question, sir, because we can go back and forth on that. The second question I want to ask you is that if Donald Trump or the Trump administration actually walks away from these peace talks, where does Ukraine really stand? Because what the Trump administration is saying is that Ukraine is in a very bad position as far as the war is concerned, and it cannot sustain any further.
Well, first of all, there are two parallel tracks. One, that Mr. Trump and his administration want to reset relations with Russia, whatever the results of the peace talks about the Russo-Ukrainian war. And second track is actually the talks between the Americans and Russians, and between Americans, Ukrainians, and Europeans. We have no choice but to fight back the Russians, because the Russians have maximalist goals of destroying Ukrainian statehood and subjugated Ukrainian nation. And unfortunately, we have many nations, and particularly European nations, who understand the threat from Russia to Europe in general, to Ukraine particularly, and they stepping up their support of Ukraine. So it will be unfortunate for Ukraine that the United States would side with the violator of the international law, with the countries that launch unprovoked and unjustified a war of aggression against Ukraine. But we don't have other choice but to fight the Russians back.
Let's hear the other side of this as well. Edward Joseph, who's a political analyst and lecturer at Johns Hopkins, joins me to talk more of this. Sir, the other side to the conversations, the peace talks that have pretty much stalled when it comes to Russia-Ukraine, how do you see the demands being made by Ukrainian president, and how much of a deal breaker do you think they are in these talks?
First, good to be with you, the other guest, and of course your viewers. And unfortunately, it's very difficult to use the term other side. Honestly, trying my best, it's hard to see what is the other side here. Look, in addition to what you've heard from your previous guest, which sadly is completely factual, there's nothing that the previous guest said that anyone can really challenge. The basis for the deal that he characterizes is, as he says, I would like to provide another side, but I cannot. He is correct when he says
no, the other side I meant was, no, I wasn't saying the Russian side. My point was the other side to the fact that as things stand right now, the talks have all but stalled. Are we looking at a possibility of them opening again? Or are we looking at the peace talks being now thrown into cold storage?
Well, again, I respectfully reference what the other guest was saying. There are no talks. These are not talks. There are no talks. The Trump administration would not go to London to have those talks with the Europeans and the Ukrainian side. They refused to go on that. They put a deal on the table that, again, I'm sorry to just simply repeat this, it's entirely one-sided. And I would only add 2 points here to what the other guest has said. I would add 2 other points. That it was the Russian side that rejected the Trump proposed ceasefire. So it's very important for your viewers to understand this, because the picture that is coming a little bit is that, well, you know, there's a peace offer on the table and Ukraine is being difficult. Wait a minute. It was Ukraine which accepted the Trump administration proposal for the ceasefire. And it was Russia which rejected that.
That's correct.
A fact.
That's absolutely correct.
And that's absolutely correct.
But
And the only question here, really, there's only one important question at the moment, or the most important question, and that is, what will the Trump administration do now that Ukraine, which any country in its position, and I would point out here, it's very important to say, even if it were not President Zelensky, you would not have any other Ukrainian leader who would accept the terms proposed.
Okay, so Crimea is not a deal breaker.
Wait, just please let me finish and then continue. But it's not as if there's some personal dynamics here that are interrupting, and that, oh, if only it weren't President Zelensky, but I could mention a name, but I won't, some other personalities in Ukraine, that it would be different. It would not be any different. Those individuals, also constrained by Ukraine's constitution, also constrained by the record of Russia, and also constrained by the public opinion. Ultimately, it's the citizens of Ukraine that will have the final say on this, and they reject this type of approach. Please.
All right, very quickly, sir, because I'm really out of time, which is that, do you expect this war to then continue, or do you expect Europe to do the heavy lifting? Mr. Alexander, to you first, very quickly.
Well, first of all, there is no reason to believe that Russia is going to stop this war, and certainly we are not in a position to give up protecting our sovereignty and our national identity. So we will fight Russians back, and with the support of our European partners, we will be able to do that.
Okay. So Joseph, to you, very quickly, sir.
Yes, as I said, the only or the most important question here is what will the Trump administration do with these facts? Will it, as it did before, cut off intelligence assistance? Will it cut off military assistance to Ukraine? So we will see. And I would tell you from my vantage point here in Washington, the answer to that is not so clear at the moment. Trump is unpredictable, but that is really the key question, is what now? The ball is really now in the American court.
Okay.
And it's the question is, what will President Trump do now that this one-sided approach is clearly not going to work? Please.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for dissecting a complex story, and we're going to keep coming back to it as things progress. It's time to slip into a short break. Up next, we talk more about AI images of child sexual abuse and why they are becoming more realistic and more pervasive, and the threats they pose.
This baby bear is terrified, torn from her mother's paws at a tender age. They will force her to live alone in a tiny, filthy cage, like so many bears driven mad by loneliness, rubbing their wounds raw against the bars, suffering cruelly day after day, year after year, just for people's entertainment. Four Paws found little Potap crammed into a tiny, squalid cage. He'd been there for almost 9 years, lonely and isolated. There are so many more young bears who need your help. Please call 0800 038 0496 or text BEAR5 to 70800 to give £3 a month via your mobile phone. Every month, your £3 could help us free more bears. Help give bears the veterinary care they need and help them live happy, healthy lives in the freedom of our natural sanctuaries. Please call 0800 038 0496 or text BEAR5 to 70800 to give £3 a month via your mobile phone and help Four Paws free bears from agonizing torture. Please, don't leave these bears to suffer for a single day more.
Don't miss Sharp's half-price spring savings. Get Sharp's bespoke fitted furniture for every room, from living spaces to home offices and bedrooms. Many ranges are now half price, including our must-have Manhattan range. Our exclusive Space Plus system means we won't be beaten on space. Plus, you get our 15-year guarantee for total peace of mind. Refresh your home with Sharp's this spring. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
When I woke up, they said, "Alyssa, you've got leukemia." We found out that the chemo wasn't working. So at that point, it was like, I'm gonna die. My consultant was looking for these clinical trials, and she found this one at Great Ormond Street. I'm cancer-free now.
Curing Alyssa was a world first, but cancer is still the biggest killer of children in the UK. Will you help us do more? Search Gosh Care to give £3 a month and help build a new children's cancer centre at Great Ormond Street Hospital, a home for breakthrough research with world-class facilities to help beat cancer for more children. Together, with your kind support, we can help save lives and transform children's cancer care for decades to come. Text CARE to 70125 to give £3 a month and help build our new children's cancer centre. Together, we can beat cancer for more children.
On the streets of Gaza, more and more Palestinians are now expressing open defiance against the terror group. that's ruled the Strip for almost 20 years now. Anti-Hamas protests are now on the rise in Gaza as the militant group's iron grip, it seems, is slipping. Many Gazans are now holding Hamas responsible for plunging the tiny, impoverished territory into the worst crisis it has seen in 70 years. To understand what this means, the impact, especially at a time when the conflict continues, Omar Anas, who's a Middle East expert, joins me to talk more about this. Omar, how do you see this panning out in terms of a larger movement against Hamas?
Thank you very much for having me here. I would say that it has been almost 1.5 years, and things are really going against Hamas, its ability to maintain its support as it has before the 7 October crisis. And there are so much internal criticism against Hamas within Hamas as an organization, as well as within the Arab public opinion and Palestinian public opinion, especially in the West Bank. So it is for sure that Hamas is losing the battle of mind and hearts, and to maintain minimum peace and stability in Gaza. So there is more possibility that these kind of protests and anti-Hamas sentiments would increase in the region and in Gaza specifically. However, the challenge is that who is going to replace them is most difficult thing.
Absolutely. Two things I wanted to ask just on that. One, the power vacuum, who will come next? And secondly, the larger impact of something like that, if at all it does happen, which is Hamas ceding control to someone else.
The fundamental issue is the resolution of Palestinian problem. So what would be the model of future Palestinian state? It would decide the future of Palestinian politics. So you know that Palestinian politics is divided into two factions. One is that which recognizes the state of Israel, which is leading the West Bank, led by Mahmoud Abbas. And the second faction is led by Hamas, which says that it would not recognize the state of Palestine if there is no a deal with Israel. So they are withholding their recognition with the state of Israel for a very long time. So still, my understanding is that the frustration from or about the West Bank-based authority of Mahmoud Abbas is still very high. Their
Okay, so how does this impact, I want to understand, how does this impact the larger conflict in the region? Israel's biggest demand has been that Hamas should completely vacate that area. It should vacate Gaza Strip. It should ensure that it gets out in terms of any power structures. And that could lead to ceasefire. Do you envisage any of that happening?
Hamas can, it is impossible for Hamas to vacate Gaza if there is no replacement. If Israel is not going to allow the forces of Mahmoud Abbas, the forces of or police or security or the administration from the West Bank, as long as there is no replacement or no alternative authority there, we cannot and nobody cannot throw Hamas away from the Gazan authority. Okay. So I think that there is a crisis with Israelis, that they are not ready to give anyone else the chance. If Israelis are going to control the Gaza Strip, that is going to be extremely unpopular move.
Okay, let's leave it there. Omar Anas, thanks much for joining me on a story that is yet to unfold into its larger ramifications. Shifting focus now to the Internet Watch Foundation, which has warned that images of child sexual abuse generated by artificial intelligence are now becoming disturbingly more realistic. In its latest report, the online safety watchdog says that it's received 245 reports of AI-generated illegal content last year, and that was up by a staggering 380% from 2023. Now that adds up to more than 7,600 images, with some URLs containing multiple files. Now there are almost 40% of that content actually fell into category A, which is most severe classification involving sadism or penetrative acts. That tells you what really AI can do, the flip side of AI. Experts say the rise highlights how predators are now exploiting rapid advances in technology. what this means, what can the society do to counter this. Mukesh Chaudhary, who's a cybersecurity expert, joins me to decode this. Mukesh, we've been talking about the wonderful aspects that AI throws up, but this is the flip side. This is what the other side of AI looks like. Are we prepared for it?
So first of all, India basically requires AI regulations, and we are expecting that as and when the AI regulations comes into the picture in India, moreover service providers and individuals who are users as well as amendments in the IT Act also is required, so that individuals who are misusing the AI content in their desired manner, like for child pornographic content, the pedophiles, they want to whatever they desire, their expectations, they are generating such kind of child pornographic content from these AI platforms. So there are regulations are not there, and the technology is being misused. So that is why we are actually not prepared as a country, if I say.
Right, which also then tells me that when it comes to such possible acts of misuse, even though we do not have a regulation in place, what can be the immediate safeguards that we can put in place? Because we're talking about minors, we're talking about children here, and we don't need to wait for a regulatory system to come in place till we insulate them.
Correct. So basically, it is a joint and collaborative efforts. It has to come from everyone, like let it be from the government side, say law enforcement agencies, parents, from schools, our education system, our society. So first and foremost thing, awareness is very much important with respect to cyber safety and cyber security. More awareness on privacy, like there are many trends over social media. People start following the trends, uploading their images and screenshots, their close-ups, their pictures over social media platforms to generate AI images, and they start sharing it. Now, using those images can then, those AI models are being trained to generate such kind of images. Same images or same content can be misused in any way, because you don't know what kind of terms and conditions you have agreed to. Once you start using that AI platform or that particular application, maybe you have agreed to each and every condition, and they can misuse your content in any way. So cyber parenting plays a very important role. So parents needs to understand that yes, it is a very high time that needs to play their important role of providing cyber parenting. Education industry, institutes and college universities, they need to incorporate small capsules and small courses, at least some mandatory sessions.
I think cyber schooling should also be put in place, and
100%.
some sort of basic curriculum should be in place in schools as well. Thank you so much for speaking to me on that important story. Shifting focus now to a global study into the safety of COVID-19 vaccines that has now been abruptly shut down. Just over a year before its planned completion, the 5-year project that's run by the Global Vaccine Data Network was tracking vaccine safety using data from more than 300 million people worldwide. It has received over 10 million New Zealand dollars from the US CDC in 2021, but now due to sweeping funding cuts by the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, the study has now been shut. What's the impact of this? Dr. Kamran Ali joins me to decode this. Dr. Kamran Ali, this is an important study, could possibly pave the way for us to understand how animal can impact, or how wet animal markets can impact humans, and that's essentially what the genesis and origin of the COVID virus was. In the backdrop of this study now being shut, how do you think medical science is worse off?
So yes, I mean it's actually pretty sad that we are seeing this in this date and era. From a clinical standpoint, the abrupt termination of such a significant vaccine safety study is concerning. Very heavily we rely on comprehensive data on vaccine safety for making informed decisions, especially in the context of maybe emerging variants and also booster recommendations, when to give a booster and when not. So I think this is going to hit it hard, and it's a serious blow to global scientific collaboration. Pulling the plug on one of the most important vaccine studies just months before, almost 13 months before, the results, the study was to be completed, sends a terrible message that science can be sidelined when politics takes center stage. And the timing couldn't be worse. We've just come out of a pandemic, And, we were looking at long-term data of the efficacy of the vaccine, the long-term side effects, and we needed facts, we needed more transparency, we needed more data. But unfortunately, now it's in the doldrums.
Right. Very quickly, which is that while this study has now been pretty much junked, in terms of any other smaller short-term research that can be undertaken to ensure that we have some idea about the origins of these wet animal markets and their impact on humans?
So I think, to the best of my knowledge, we don't have any short-term studies that are ongoing. To finish this study, I believe there's a cost of around $2 million that we are looking at to finish this study and get the data, in the real world. Till that time, if we don't have this data, we just need to rely on whatever existing data we had from Wuhan and from other places.
All right, let's leave it there, Dr. Ali. Thank you so much for speaking to me on a story that impacts, well, the entire humanity. On that note, completely timed out on this edition of India Global. Thanks so much for watching.
At Direct Line, we know that for multi-property landlords, sometimes the tiniest of things can turn into way bigger problems. From niggly contract issues to keeping up with ever-changing legislation, that's why Direct Line's landlord insurance offers a 24/7 legal helpline as standard. Because a call with someone could help to make the hairiest of problems feel that little bit smoother. Search Direct Line Landlord Insurance. We're on it.
PlusNet's sweet deal on full fibre is full of value. Treat yourself to fast and reliable broadband from only $24.99 a month. And with no activation fees, yes please, with speeds up to 900 megabits, faster than a sugar rush. And ooh, a reward card, that's a plus. Call us now or visit plus.net for our best price. Ends 7th of May. Oh, go on then.
Prescription! With its double action, Dimestic Control provides fast, effective hay fever relief. Get your feelings to sunrise. Dimestic Control, fast, effective hay fever relief, which gets to work in 5 minutes.
It feels good knowing that your future's in hand. Evlo can offer you a loan from £1,000 to £15,000. Get your conditional decision in minutes. We know that living with diabetes can make daily life a challenge, and we're here to help.
I felt very low with the diagnosis and very lonely as well and embarrassed.
I think people don't necessarily realise the impact that being diabetic can have on you and the amount of extra decisions you have to make a day through carb counting every single thing you eat.
Day-to-day living with diabetes is really difficult. So Diabetes UK has made my life easier every day.
If you're struggling with the everyday challenges diabetes can bring, maybe it's time to become a Diabetes UK member. Call 0800 035 7601 or go online to become a member. And for just £3 a month, you'll get a welcome pack and a practical guide tailored to your type of diabetes and a copy of Balance magazine 4 times a year.
Balance magazine has been very good in giving me tips to manage my diabetes on a day-to-day basis.
Plus regular email updates with the latest diabetes news and special discounts.
One of the things I was recommended to do was exercise. What motivated me was my love of dance, and I got that back.
Join a community that really understands. Call 0800 035 7601 or go online to become a member for just £3 a month.
I would recommend Diabetes UK to anyone with diabetes. Join up, become part of a community, get that support that you need.
Vista Health means fast access to scans. Vista Health means rapid results. Vista Health means convenient locations. Vista Health means affordable pricing. At Vista Health, we know what your health means to you. And that's why we provide fast access to MRI, ultrasound, echocardiogram and other health scans, without the need for a referral or medical insurance. Get the answers you need. Book your scan today at vistahealth.co.uk.
This is
NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to the Southern View. Our thoughts and focus remain with the families of the victims of the Pahalgam terror attack. Several emotional moments as they bid their final goodbye, even as the top of the political leadership sent out a message of unity and strength. Let's take you through the headlines we're tracking this hour. The government holds an all-party meeting to brief all political forces on the terror attack. Home Minister Shah briefs opposition and NDA parties of the attack. Strong voices emerge for political unity. Prime Minister Modi sends a stern message to the world, says India will no longer tolerate and will trace, identify and punish terrorists and their backers. Pakistan suspends the Shimla agreement and closes down its airspace to India after India's visa deadline to Pakistanis. Both countries asks their citizens from the other to leave without delay. Difficult and emotional moments amidst a strong message from the top political leadership. An all-party meeting is underway as the government briefs all political parties of the situation. But as I mentioned, emotional moments in Bengaluru, like the rest of India, as many of the victims of that inhuman terror attack in Pahalgam were paid their last respects. In Bengaluru, 41-year-old Bharat Bhushan's friends and family and many people from his area and the rest of the city bid their final goodbye to him, to a young man who had just changed career paths and celebrated his birthday just a few days ago. He was shot right in front of his wife and toddler son. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and the governor amongst those who paid their respects. Those images on your screens from that final goodbye. In Shivamogga, a final goodbye to Manjunath Rao, who was vacationing with his wife Pallavi and was shot right in front of her. Hundreds had gathered along with Manjunath's family and friends. Union Minister Prahlad Joshi amongst those who paid his respects, last respects there. In Andhra Pradesh, Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu paid his last respects to retired SBI employee J.C. Chandramouli, who was on a vacation with a few of his friends. And in Nellore, Deputy Chief Minister Pavan Kalyan paid his last respects to S. Madhusudan, who was also with his family in Pahalgam. My colleague Deepak Bhupanna spoke with Bharat Bhushan's wife in Bengaluru, and my colleague Uma Sudhir had spoken to one of Chandramauli's friends. Both of them were in Pahalgam and were eyewitnesses to that horrific incident.
It's an hour of grief. My condolences to you and your family members. It must have been a very hard situation for you being in Kashmir when the situation unfolded. If you could just take us through those moments, only if it is okay with you, because I understand what you're going through now.
We went there for vacation on the 18th, and Pahalgam was the last spot that we wanted to see. And we went up to Baisaran through the pony ride. And on reaching there, we took all photographs. We were playing. We had our child with us. And we were looking at the scenery, trying out the Kashmiri costumes, everything. Suddenly, we heard a lot of shots. And that seemed like crackers initially. I thought they were just driving away maybe the birds or wild animals, but then they kept continuing and becoming louder. Then we realized within few seconds that this is not typical. It's an attack, and we started hiding behind those tents.
Yeah.
Those Kashmiri tents were there in the middle of the field. You know how Baisaran is, right? It's a large field, and we were there, right in the middle of it. Anywhere we tried to run, it's quite a far distance to the perimeter. So we hid behind the tent, and I saw a few terrorists coming from behind us. One of them, there were few tents like how we were hiding behind. One of them went to a tent probably 100 feet away. He kicked a person and shot him in the head. And he kept doing for two more people like that. I couldn't hear what he was saying. But then when he was nearing our tent, I could hear that he was saying, how could you enjoy your vacation like this when our children are suffering, when we are suffering? Haven't you seen the news? How could you just enjoy just like that? He spoke like that to a senior man like that. And then he shot him in the head. He shot like that only to one more person, and then he came to my husband. He did not even speak. He just shot.
Ma'am, I heard that, also Mr. Bharat requested that he has a 3-year-old child to,
He was
spare.
requesting, I have a child, please spare me. He just shot and left.
Well, I'm really sorry for what happened, ma'am. Let's hope that the governments really work towards ensuring security of all the citizens.
I hope they do. This is continuing. I don't know when this is going to stop.
Among those who travelled from Andhra Pradesh to Pahalgam and became a victim of the terror attack was 70-year-old Chandramouli, who was a travel enthusiast and went along with his wife Nagamani and 2 other couples to Pahalgam. I am now joined by Mr. Shashidhar, who was along with Mr. Chandramouli on this trip. Mr. Shashidhar, first of all, really sorry for what has happened. I understand the last rites are to happen tomorrow. His 2 daughters are away in the US and you're awaiting their arrival. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. One daughter is just now arrived and another is expected to arrive today night.
What happened on that day? You were very enthusiastically, all 3 of you, 3 couples had gone to Srinagar and were traveling there. You, in fact, shared with us earlier that he had celebrated his 70th birthday just on the 18th, even as you all left for Srinagar.
Yes, ma'am. On 18th only his birthday was there. And actually, he promised a big bash after we returned from the tour, actually. And he entirely led the tour. He planned the tour, actually.
What happened on that day? You, all 3 of you were, you were telling me that it was very difficult to actually climb that area to reach to that place, which many people popularly call as mini Switzerland. And you actually did a trek, and Mr. Chandramouli was urging the women in the group as well not to lose out on this opportunity. Please share with us those memories.
Actually, that was a very difficult terrain with rocks and all. By horses only we can climb there, ma'am. So we all went by 6 horses. On the way, actually, our ladies, they were fed up with this. That was a tortuous journey, in fact. But he asked us to, he somehow encouraged us to go over there and see, because that's once in a lifetime opportunity. That's what he said. So we went there around 1 or 1:30, ma'am. So after reaching over there, we immediately went to the washrooms. So after 1, 2 or 3 people went to washroom and came out, we had these gunshots from far away woods. We thought that some people were hunting, in fact. But again, we had some 3 to 4 shots, and we also had some screaming of the ladies from over the ground. And some persons were lying on the ground, sir. And one person was standing there with a gun, and he's firing because many people are there at that place near the shops and canteens. So then we thought that yes, there's an attack and we should escape, and we just hid behind the toilet block. There are 2 toilets, and we just stood behind the toilets, all 6 and some other couples also. So then immediately one terrorist, he started walking towards us. So we thought that this is not a safe place to stay. We should somehow escape, but we don't know how to escape because the entire place is cordoned off with a fencing. And in the fencing, at some place, there's a gap between the fencing and the ground. So we slid through the fencing one by one and one by one. Lastly, my wife came out, and Mr. Chandramouli, actually, he helped her to come out of that one. Then we just crossed a small stream, and we again climbed up a hill, just few feet, and we all hid behind the trees. But immediately that terrorist followed us, and he came very near to Mr. Chandramouli, and our ladies, my wife and Mrs. Sesikumari. So when he came there, he shot some 3 to 4 bullets, in fact, and went towards our ladies where they were standing, and he saw them and he went away. So we thought that as he did not do anything, but we did not know that he shot at Mr. Chandramouli. And when my wife and the other persons saw him very closely, at that time Chandramouli was lying down. So we thought that he was just injured and he was lying down.
The attacker was not masked and he was wearing military overalls kind of a thing, is it?
Yes, ma'am. It's not masked. He was wearing a turban and wearing a military camouflage pant and some overcoat like thing, ma'am. It's a olive color, so ma'am. And he was young, just less than 25 years or so. That's what I could see from 100 to 150 feet away from them. I was hiding behind a tree, actually.
And then you people trekked down for about 2 hours, and it's only later that you came to know that Mr. Chandramouli has been shot dead. But was there no security in that area at all?
No security at all, ma'am. Actually, in the entire Kashmir area, wherever we go, we found security, ma'am. Everywhere we found that it was safest. But at this specific place, not even a single police person is there, ma'am. Police or army person is there. So that was the main reason, actually, because most these casualties had happened. Even if some people are there, these people would not have dared so much to come onto the open ground and fire everybody indiscriminately, whoever they wanted to.
Well, as the families bid goodbye, there was a strong message from the political leadership, the Prime Minister sending out a message of stern action, and an all-party meet underway in the national capital. Reactions from across the political spectrum sending a message of unity. Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar sent a strong message not to politicize the situation. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah too had condemned the attack, but had also pointed and questioned intelligence failure leading to it.
Friends, today from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done. The entire nation is firm in this resolve. Everyone who believes in humanity is with us. I thank the people of various countries and their leaders who have stood with us in these times.
சமீபத்திய ஆண்டுகளில் பொதுமக்கள் மீது நடத்தப்பட்ட மிகப்பெரிய தாக்குதல் என்று அம்மாநில முதலமைச்சர் மாண்புமிகு உமர் அப்துல்லா அவர்கள் குறிப்பிட்டுள்ளார்கள். இந்த தாக்குதலுக்கு பயங்கரவாத அமைப்பு ஒன்று பொறுப்பேற்றுள்ளது. அங்கு எத்தகைய மோசமான, கொடூரமான, பயங்கரமான சூழல் நிலவுகிறது என்பதற்கு இது எடுத்துக்காட்டாக அமைந்திருக்கிறது. பயங்கரவாத தீவிரவாத அமைப்புகள் எத்தகைய எண்ணம் கொண்டவையாக இருந்தாலும் அவற்றை இரும்பு கரம் கொண்டு ஒடுக்க வேண்டும்.
We have been supporting the government for such type of incidents. Whatever may be, we stand by the government because country's integrity is very much important. We should maintain peace. All should maintain. No one should politicalize this issue. This is not an issue to politicize. Now let us stand united and protect the Indians at large.
Aishwarya Jain joins me from New Delhi. Now he's been tracking that all-party meet that's going on there. Give us a sense of the reactions from across the political spectrum at that meeting, Aishwarya.
Well, only all-important all-party meeting is currently underway at the Parliament. It is Home Minister, Defence Minister, and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar who has briefed the political parties who have participated in today's meeting. First of all, the developments that have taken place and the steps that have taken by the government so far, and the decisions that have been made yesterday by the CCS under the chairmanship of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. At the beginning of the all-party meeting, it was a 2-minute silence that was observed by all the political leaders who were invited for this meeting, including the AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi. It was a stern message, and the government want to bring the entire political spectrum, all the political parties into consideration. They wanted to bring them on board as far as the consensus building of what is the suitable decision that India can take as far as the counteraction against Pakistan and the perpetrators who are sitting across the border. It is also the sources within the all-party meeting had indicated to us that there would be a resolution that the government might bring, and it will be passed unanimously to condemn the deadly terror attack in Pahalgam. It will be also every member who is the part of this all-party meeting will be given a chance to speak, and there will be a consultative process as well to how to counter this kind of attack that has taken place on the Indian soil. Of course, Prime Minister's message was firm to track, identify and punish them. It was Home Minister and External Affairs Minister just before the all-party meeting also briefed the President of India. We would be keeping a close eye on this resolution that will be passed in this all-party meeting,
Right.
and what will transpire. It's still underway in the Parliament.
Right, thanks very much there, Aishwarya Jain. We will keep a close watch on that meeting. Joining me this evening is also Lieutenant General Kamal Dawar, former Chief of India's Defence Intelligence Agency. General Dawar, a strong message from the top of the political leadership. Your thoughts and key focus areas as India calibrates its response.
First of all, my deep condolences to the families who have lost their dear ones in a dastardly attack by Pakistani-based, Pakistani-inspired terrorists yesterday. As far as we are concerned, India is always united against terror, and we will ensure by various options, whether it's kinetic or non-kinetic or a combination of both, that the Pakistani terrorists and all those perpetrators of this crime and all those who have engineered it from behind the scenes are also punished, taken to task. First of all, I would like to say that the all-powerful, formidable for the Pakistanis, General Naseem Munir, their Pakistani army chief, made an unnecessary, uncalled for, very provocative statement the other day, and the next day this terrorist attack takes place. He spoke about Hindus and Muslims and the absurd two-nation theory, which in any case we don't accept as far as India is concerned. Now it's a matter. Now the government, when very rightly so, have taken a few measures. Of course, the Pakistanis have also retaliated by taking a couple of similar measures which the government of India takes. And I think Pakistan is going to be in deep trouble in the coming days, coming weeks. Both, I cannot spell out and what the options are going to be, but there are many options on our table. And I'm sure the government, the Cabinet Committee on Security, and in consultation with the opposition, will be taking some appropriate steps to ensure that the perpetrators of crime, which is the Pakistanis, as the world knows that they are the epicenter, the citadel of terrorism all across the world, and they have to be taken to task. So I'm sure what we should do and what we should not do would be being discussed, contemplated, and I'm sure there would be certain contingency plans already in the files. And let's see what happens in the next few days. But the fact remains that India-Pakistan relations are at a low ebb, all thanks to the Pakistanis. The Pakistanis just don't understand that their very myopic and self-destructive policies towards India are going to cost them more, not us.
Right, General Dawar, as you make that point, some sections have also questioned raised questions about intelligence, whether there was a forewarning. What would be your assessment of those?
Right. First of all, I'm Kamal Davar, not the way you're pronouncing, but not to worry. As far as there has been an intelligence failure, there is no denying the fact. And I want to tell you that, security is a 24/7 affair. You have to have boots on the ground. You may induct a few, modern technologies and all that, but the fact remains in counter-terrorist operations, in vigilance, you may have some tech-advanced machinery and gadgets and all that, but the fact is that you have to have boots on the ground to do patrolling. And wherever, and it is not only the army units or formation headquarters or some VIP residences which have to be looked after. Anywhere where there is a gathering of people, even if it's, tourists or a huge hotel or some other place of fun and frolic, there must be some police cover. There must be some security cover. And your grassroots intelligence has to be absolutely of a very high order. Otherwise, you'll always get surprised. And why will you get surprised? Because you see, the terrorist has initiative in his own hands. He's just moving around left, right, and center. And wherever he sees there is some gap in your surveillance or a lack of security cover, he can strike. Now, this is the advantage which a terrorist always has. So to ensure that we don't let the terrorists have their say or do what we want them not to do, we have to ensure boots on the ground, a lot of security cover, vigilance, and of course, also aided by high technology gadgetry. So there has been an intelligence failure, there's no doubt in it, and somebody must answer for it. People who are on the ground there, whichever security force has been assigned that particular area, I'm afraid they have to answer for this lapse of security cover, which has resulted in one of the worst terrorist strikes in the last many years. 26 people dying for no rhyme or reason, I'm afraid is not a healthy sign at all as far as our security apparatus is concerned, and we must answer for it, whoever was responsible.
Right. Thanks very much, General Davar. I hope I got the name right this time. Thanks very much for those points that you've made. Obviously, we'll keep in mind those important inputs from you. But also with me this evening are two prominent Bengalurians, Priya Chetty Rajagopal and Dr. Mirza Alamdar. Dr. Mirza, first to you, your thoughts as we go through this very difficult moment.
Today we grieve for Mr. Bhushan and Mr. Manjunath Rao, who returned to Karnataka not as tourists but as martyrs. And we grieve all the martyrs of the Pahalgam attack. This ideology, this extremist ideology has not been since today. It has been there since the land of Karbala. And even Muslims alike have been martyred all around the world by this same ideology. To the families, we give our deepest condolences. Karnataka mourns with you, India mourns with you, and we want decisive action. The time for talks and everything is over. We want decisive action. Citizens want action on the ground.
Right. Important point that you make there. Priya Chetty Rajagopal, as you see all this, there is also the question of Kashmir being that vacation dream that seems to have taken a big hit and an emotional hit as well, in that as we mourn and we go through this painful moment. Your thoughts?
My condolences first to the 26 people who died and the many who were injured, and particularly for those from our state of Karnataka, Mr. Manjunath, Mr. Bharat Bhushan, and Mr. Madhusudan, who leave very, I'm sure, sorrowful families. I think in some ways we were lulled into a sense of security. Kashmir has been sort of quietly, I'm not going to get into the politics of it. I'm just saying in terms of a place to visit, a place to go to, once again feeling a sense of connectedness to, this wonderful, beautiful, absolutely breathtaking state that is part of India. We have all started connecting again. So I think maybe that sense of comfort that, everything is back to usual has been shocked into complete and utter despair and shock. And that's something that I'm feeling. I can hear the rhetoric. I can completely understand the Prime Minister's response to this. I can also relate to the fact that he's away in Saudi, he came back for this. You have the Vice President of the US visiting. So there's a context and ecosystem in which this is happening. But look at the fact that a bunch of tourists who are just having a great time, sitting in sitting to maybe grab a meal. Somebody went to go and get bread for his son. I mean, you're talking about the most banal of happy tourist memories. And suddenly these uniformed people come in and they shoot at such a random manner, including the fact that you're having fun where we are dying. I don't know what the politics of that is, but I think it's completely, it's just so unnecessary, and it's such a derailment to all the good things that have been happening so far. Deaths are much more than that. I mean, this is what I would not agree about being martyred, because they did not sign up to be martyrs. They had just gone for a holiday, and this is just the most incredibly tragic thing that could have happened. Having said that, look at the background right now.
No, absolutely.
Kashmir is moving forward.
No, go on, Priya, go on.
You have a socio-economic sense of progress, right? Things have been moving forward. Tourism has been coming back, and don't forget that's one of the biggest income earners in Kashmir, if I'm not wrong. And the people of Kashmir rallied around the tourists, did everything they could to support them. This derangement from the focus is going to cause a problem. And my worry also is, I mean, as a person who would have probably lost a loved one or whatever.
What they don't tell you about getting older is how much fun it can be. Enjoying all the things you've worked so hard for. Spending time with the people that really matter. Not to mention, finally finding that precious time for yourself. I don't want anything taking my best years away from me, but like so many people, I've seen the heartbreak that dementia can cause. That's why I'm asking everyone to order this essential free guide from Alzheimer's Research UK. It's called Your Brain Matters. We all know what's good for our heart and our lungs, but do you know how to keep your brain healthy too? Well, this guide tells you how, in 7 steps you can start taking right now, whatever your age. Just ring the number on screen to get your free copy. Inside, you'll find facts and tips that can keep your brain healthy and help reduce your risk of developing dementia. It's advice you can really trust from leading dementia scientists. Read it, keep it, and check back whenever you need to. Order your free copy now. Call Alzheimer's Research UK on 0800 035 5984 or text BRAIN2 to 78866. Think of it as another way of planning for your best years, because your brain really matters.
Now I'm retired, I can spend more time with my grandson. I'm proud of him and want to help any way I can. Which reminds me.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote.
No problem. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll